Remember that little secret Mace has been keeping? Well, it's not a secret anymore. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 10. The Patriot. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, of course, you know it, there are spoilers ahead. You've been warned. Alright, so, good episode this week, really character-driven, really story, giving us background stories, really kind of the meat of this particular episode. We have the Watchdogs trying an assassination attempt on Mace. Doesn't work, gets away on the Quinjet, but like a nice evil villain group, they don't just have a single plan. It's layered. The assassination, really just an attempt. If it worked, great. If not, real idea, get them onto the Quinjet. Why? Because it's got a bomb on it. It blows, sends them down. They're all, communications are all jammed. And that leaves, of course, Mack, Coulson, and Mace to try and outwit and survive from the ex-Hydra new Watchdogs people. They're, I like them rolling the bad guys in. The Hydra people, they're looking for work. Watchdogs are looking for people. It's a nice mesh. So, of course, that's really the main storyline. It gives us the chance to learn Mace's big secret. Meanwhile, of course, on our little subplanet, we've got Radcliffe and Ada conspiring to get the Darkhold. Not a whole lot going on their end, really just sort of keeping up on May and trying to find some further information, delve into her psyche a little bit there. So, like I said, some basic movements forward, but the big revolution, of course, the big ending moment does give us a big change going forward in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, really excited about that. Overall, I thought that the episode was good. Very standard, nothing really special. I thought last week's was a lot better, really tight, a lot of action going forward here. Here, because it's so much really background character work like that, not a whole lot of stuff going on elsewise. Talbot was back. It's nice to see Talbot. But I have to say, Adrian Pasdar plays his character so big and broad. Sometimes it's kind of contrary to the rest of the tightness of the rest of the characters and the rest of the script. The one scene where he is in the hallway and he's giving orders out and then just shouts out to the random guy in the back, "Hey, you give me the coffee and don't forget about the French creamer this time." I have to ask, one, does he randomly pick out the same person he asked for coffee last time he was there? Or is it just that he's a dick, just really figuring other agents really have nothing better to do in the midst of S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ than to go and fetch him coffee? And of course, can't just ask for cream, has to do it in kind of a douchebag way. That's Talbot, but overall, like I said, that's okay. I thought the interview scenes, the interrogation scenes with the Watchdog sniper also were just, they're okay. I don't know, maybe I've seen too many police interrogation shows. Maybe I've seen these scenes over and over again, but it's the bad guy saying, "I'm not going to talk," and the good guys come in, they make some big threatening gestures, and it's just, there's so much more interesting stuff going on with S.H.I.E.L.D., with the rest of the series, with the rest of the episodes. This particular moment I thought was just boring, and I was glad whenever those scenes were over with. So the main thrust of tonight's episode, of course, is learning the history, the backstory of Jeffrey Mace, a.k.a. the Patriot. And of course, long story short, he's not inhuman. He is artificially enhanced. He is taking a drug. Kind of a Captain America thing, but of course, working only short term. And I thought this was some interesting parallels here between this episode, between what's going on with Mace and Thunderbolt Ross's idea back in the Incredible Hulk film back in 2008. Because of course there he's resurrecting the super soldier serum and he gives that to Blonsky to try and have him go after the Hulk, take down Banner. And here we have kind of the same thing. We have Talbot, also interestingly another Hulk character, doing an artificial, continuing the super soldier serum and giving that to Mace in order to have a figurehead for S.H.I.E.L.D. And in some senses that does sort of make sense. They decide they want a power person. They have to find a power person that they can trust and work with. If they can't find one, here they've got a chance to make one. Now, using Hyde's formula, Daisy's dad's formula, to make that happen, yeah, it took the bad stuff out of it. Yeah, most of the bad stuff, you hope. Things seem to be working very well for Mace so far, but that is something to probably keep an eye on. But we can sort of see, again, the idea of doing that. You need a power person. Let's get somebody in here that we can trust. And I sort of understand that. Now, that Mace finally gives us the rest of the story, what happened in Vienna. You know, and it really, despite Mace's difficulty as a leader in dealing with some of what's going on with the agents and his old striation security system, you could tell that he does want to be a good guy. He is honest and communicative about that. Of course, he has his secrets, but here, especially him telling the story, you really get to see the basis behind his character. The fact that he literally stumbled into it, I thought was quite interesting and quite telling. And of course, then given the opportunity to take this new super soldier serum and be the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's great. But why does he do it? Really for the right reasons. The belief that the Inhumans are just like the humans, that they have a right to be represented, a right to be protected under the U.S. system, I think is an extremely noble effort and a great thing to say in our current times when we have so many questions about people's legitimacies and who deserves to be protected. It's the same thing that has recurred repeatedly in Marvel Comics, especially around the X-Men, around mutants. Now we're doing it with Inhumans, and I love the opportunity that the show can do with that. Then we have Radcliffe and Ada doing their thing with May, trying to get a hold of the Darkhold. Not a whole lot going on their side here. I do have to say, I mean, I've said it many times how much I love John Hannah in this role, but I am loving Radcliffe as a character because he's not doing the standard villain, let's get what I want and screw everything else. Yes, he is obsessed with the Darkhold, and that is part of the magic, the curse of the Darkhold. All I guess he needed was that one little glimpse at it for that obsession to set within him. But he's not overly obsessed. His upset at Ada at killing Nathanson and really the way that they're doing things, I think it's a great depth, it's a great layer to add onto the character, to again not just have some obsessed evil willing to do whatever he wants. He is very regretful about Nathanson's death. He doesn't want harm to come to anyone. He just wants the book. And the fact that he's willing to play the long game, to be subtle, to be quiet, to do small little moves to try and get things in, to get LMD made into position in order to find information from Coulson and thus get a hold of the Darkhold. I like that. It's just a nice depth of character. It kind of gives a redeeming quality to Radcliffe, whether or not that's actually going to play out. He is trying to do good. He is trying to do it in the least amount of damage possible. However, he does seem to be messing with Ada a lot and really digging in at her about her proclivity towards murderousness. Her willingness to go as far as she needs. Yeah, it's a programming thing, but I thought Radcliffe as a character was really poking it at Ada several points throughout the episode, and I think there might start to be, again, it's hard to read into these things, but it's almost like there's starting to be a little friction between the two of them. Maybe Ada's going to get a little upset at Radcliffe's constant jabs, the willingness to get the job done. Maybe the Darkhold did infect her in a little bit. Maybe there is something else that is going on with that. But we do get to find out also is kind of confirmation really that LMD May does not know that she's an LMD. We thought about that last week, the way that she encountered Ada and acted just as May would, but not as an LMD, not being aware that she was a robot, and that is apparently part of her programming. So that's good in concept that everything is working subconsciously, as Radcliffe says, to motivate her to get the book. However, of course, as we find at the end, that little injury has now given May that insight that something is wrong. Why? Because there is metal underneath her skin. She's pretty sure that wasn't there before as far as her consciousness is aware. So that means we've got a real interesting path for May to be coming up starting next week and going forward. So by episode's end, yes, May is aware, LMD May is aware that something is definitely up. But the real conclusion point we have here is with Coulson kind of taking S.H.I.E.L.D. back. And there was a real telling sign when Mack and Coulson were chatting with Mace when they first sort of found out what the reality of Mace was. When Mack just turns to Coulson and says, "What's up, sir?" You know, just immediately turns to Coulson, asks his advice, "What is the next move, sir?" He knows that really Coulson is back in charge. And when they get back to S.H.I.E.L.D., the fact that it's just Talbot and Coulson arguing back and forth with Mace in the background really visually was the complete indication that Mace's time of being in power is gone. Well, but not really. And I think they left that, again, as a really good point. They need a good face for S.H.I.E.L.D. It is important to have a power person there. So, and Mace likes the politics. He likes being in public, and that's something Coulson does not like. So they end up, I think, with a really good arrangement. Having Mace to be the head, be the face of S.H.I.E.L.D., while Coulson is really running the show behind the scenes, that he is making all the tactical decisions and all of the missions and such like that. So I have to say, in the very beginning, when Coulson was out there with Mack and they were guarding Mace, it was nice to see Agent Coulson out in back out in the field. But Coulson's a director. Coulson runs S.H.I.E.L.D. That's really where his character is at. So it's nice to really see him back in that position and really acknowledged, again, from Talbot, from Mace. Everybody knows really how things are laying out here. So I thought that was a great way, of course, to end. And of course, there is Fitz downloading all of the data out of Ada's head before locking it in the safe. Who knew that android heads were so useful? For information, for interrogation, android head. It's what you need. I don't think that came across right. Anyway, now, so of course, downloading that information, you know that his pursuit of this, it's not good. I like the arguments, I like the discussion between him and Gemma throughout this episode. Kind of a science fight. It's cute, you know, fighting against differences, but still showing that they are connected. So I like that maintaining of the relationship. You can fight and still be together, and that's okay. But digging through this information, what is he going to find? Is this where he's going to discover that maybe she's just completely under orders, the Darkhold hasn't affected her, and she's following directives from Radcliffe? Is that information that he's going to find out about this? Or is it going to reinfect the system in some ways and start to cause other problems, maybe affect LMD May? These are questions we're going to have to go ahead and find in the coming weeks, but you know that it's going to go bad first. It always does. Alright, just a couple small little quips. One, enough of flipping the card table over like that's actually going to provide some amount of cover. I mean, when Mace and Coulson are in the cabin, they're going to come in, they flip the table over and get behind. That's like a card table. That's like 1/4-inch plyboard. That's not going to stop anything. Just stop with that. Also, apparently, really glad that they gave Mace the drug, because otherwise he's apparently completely useless in combat. His gun skills are nothing to speak about, and of course he has no hand-to-hand training. So, okay, Mace, unless you're on the drug, man, stay out of combat. Just stay away. Alright, so I think that's going to wrap things up for this week. Now, next week, it looks like Radcliffe is starting to tap into May's brain, realize that relaxation is not the way she relaxes, it's combat. So I think she's going to be starting to tweak with her brain. Now, it does look like Coulson gets in a little bit of trouble, that Fitz's secret might be out to Gemma, but I do have to speculate, gotta wonder how much of next week's episode really happens and how much is just in May's head. Radcliffe is trying to find a new scenario to keep May busy with. Could be that. So something to look forward to. But what I am really excited about is January 31st. We have Zach McGowan showing up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as the Superior. That's the guy behind the Watchdogs. If you don't know who Zach McGowan is, what's wrong with you? He's been on The 100, and most importantly, he played Charles Vane in Black Sails, the wonderful pirate epic that is on Starz. Season 4 starts at the end of this month. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I was about to, but I'm not going to say any spoilers. However, if you haven't seen the show, Zach is amazing. I am really, really excited to see him coming onto Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and playing such a meaty role as the Superior. Really, really looking forward to that. So that's going to be awesome. All right, so if you did enjoy this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. Comment section below. Throw down. What do you guys think about this episode? What do you think about Mace's motivation? Good guy still hiding stuff? And Radcliffe, what do you think about his villainous turn? Is he really going full evil, or is he still possibly redeemable? Let me know. Throw those down in the comment section below. Now, of course, you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Darren Jakes. But really, if you want to keep coming back and this is your first time, hit that subscribe button. It's my head right there. And I'll throw up our latest review right up here. You can check that out. So, that's going to be it. I am D, and I am out of here. You guys take it easy. Bye-bye.